And so, as I was saying, we have been bogged down in the paralysis of analysis, short form, and we got to transform our religion to the religion of Moses. You see, Moses went before President Obama of that day. Jesus didn't punk out under pressure. Jesus went before the President Bush of that day, King Herod, and the rest of them. Apostle Paul went before President Agrippa, the president of that day. He didn't just sit in the four walls of a church and say, well, God didn't call me for that, he called you for that. And so, my beautiful brother, Doc Robertson, that was a very good question. And I want you to know I appreciate the flavor of your nature.
All right.
Because if it wasn't in you, you couldn't ask such a question. Next question, please.
All right. Well, you had gave us a scenario. I asked you about the psychological profiling and about the mind. And you had gave us a scenario a while back, an analysis about a flea.
Yes, sir.
In a jar. Could you?
Well, it's just like the black man and woman. I presented this to you on YouTube before I gave this to City Council. I took a jar, and you take a flea. You put a flea in a jar. He's just like black people. We have been marching. We have been protesting. We have been praying. We have been rioting. But all we want trying to do is get the attention of people that we thought knew something about the real Jesus and the real God in the Bible. You see, that flea will do just what black folks are doing. Just what we've done in Valdosta. As he asked me another question, the other question was about in Quitman. Those people in Quitman didn't go out and just start giving out absentee ballots and, application, asking people to go out and register to vote. There was an undercurrent to that. That undercurrent is they kept jumping up. They would go out and they would vote, but they kept saying that they would lose the election by 13, 20, or 30 votes after they do their count. And so they said, wait a minute, if we do an absentee ballot, vote absent, we have a paper trail where we actually can count those ballots in a runoff or whatever it may be, and the truth will be the truth. That's what they did. So to answer your question, and I'm going to get back to the flea, is that these people in Brooks County have been jumping up and down and up and down and up and down trying to win because they felt they had won anyway. But that flea, you put him in a jar, you look through the glass, you see him jump up and down and up and down. And from the outside, we'll look at the flea and we'll say, we got him now. We got him now. He don't jump no more. And so we all look through the glass and we'll tell, you know what? He's dead. We got him. He's not moving that much. But somebody says, no, he's not dead. Says, no, he's not dead. Well, why isn't he jumping anymore? Well, you done beat him down so much, he got to save a little energy so he can have some sex and produce some more younger fleas so they can start jumping again. Until one day. You see, the flea know, like the black man and woman and their children, they know that there is a God in the universe. And though we suffer, as the New Testament says, though we suffer and though we die, by the blood of the Lamb we shall overcome. So the flea is not going to give up. And after 497 years in North America, the black man is no ways tired yet. And if you think we are tired, and all I can say to you is look at our young children. They have their pants down, but at least they're not going out and killing people outright. But who knows what can happen. Next question, my beautiful brother.
Well, what I'm thinking now is on the keeping this connected on the psychological side of the enslavement of the mind, the way we think. My question now is, do you feel that economics play a role in this?
Economics is everything. In fact, my next phase is going to be what Dr. King movement was going to be. I have already gone to Office Max. I have been to Miller Hardware. I have gone to the Money Tree. And pretty soon I may be sitting in front of your tree. Maybe around your Max. They're going to be put on YouTube pretty soon. I just checked the paper this morning, there are 678 people incarcerated in the Lowndes County Jail. And when you look down the list, it will be very obvious that blacks are the majority by far than whites in these jails. But when you go to Office Max and you go to some of these hardware stores, you'll find that you got to search to find a black person employed. That means that we're not qualified, or as my beautiful brother that lives here in Valdosta says, they don't have the complexion for the protection. So until we learn how to respect ourselves, what does that mean, Brother Rhines? I just asked my question, now I answer it. That if we don't respect ourselves and our children and our neighbors and our ancestors who came before us, both black and white, who gave everything to make it better for us, if we don't wake up and understand that if you take economics out the church, if you take economics out the business arena, if you take the economics out of your home, if you take the money out of your life, you are dead. So economics is everything, my beautiful brother. Mm-hmm. Everything. We can't even get to heaven without money. Now, if you think that's far-fetched, I'll break it down for you.
Well, listen.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen. Before we get there.
No, you let me out there. No, we don't skip that. Now, I'm going to tell him what I mean right quick, and I'm going to make it very brief. I asked the question hoping that he was telling me to explain. But here's what I'm saying right here, is that when they get to heaven, they already know the streets paved with gold. Go ahead, brother. That's my heavenly economic package.
Well, y'all forgive me for laughing back here, but he just punched this button.
Come on with it, bro.
All right, listen. Do you feel, from your experience now, from going to all of these meetings that maybe the public is unaware of that you attend, that you got minutes of, you got videos of, sitting down with the mayor, or sitting down with the city manager,
yes, sir.
Associate mayor and city managers and all of that, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Down through the ranks.
Yes, sir.
So you get down to the resale person.
Yes,
sir. Can you elaborate on the structure of what you see?
I'm going to make it short. That's not a hard question. Elaborate on the structure of what I see.
Of what you see.
What I see is a forest. And a tree fell in the forest. And about 70,000 people are all sitting around the tree of destruction. And people are perishing. People are dying. People are becoming more and more locked out of the system of freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press. People are in a worse predicament today than they were yesterday. So what I see, based upon everything that I have recorded, like the NAC president, Elder DuBose, said, that Boston Rhymes got enough information on YouTube to resolve the problem if someone just come in and review the records. Because they say, I got it documented. And I want you all to know while I'm at this juncture, this is something that I'm telling you all, you can believe if you want to, is being archived away in 3 states. Oh, listen, this is real with me. This is just as real to me with the real Jesus, God, Muhammad, Allah, whatever you want to call him, that you worship. It's real with me. And because it's so real to me, short form of what I see God getting ready to deliver the people of South Georgia as he delivered the children of Israel in the days of old. And when that deliverance comes, is going to knock some people off of their feet, and they're going to ask a question. How could that have happened? It's going to seem like it's a big elephant. But that's the way God works. You have to realize what I've been saying in all my videos before I close this out. You got to understand where man leaves off and where God takes over. Who could hook this up? Willie James Williams, Earl Evans, Juan Egerton, KJ, Lula Smart, Quitman 10+2, the problems in Willacoochee voting fraud, the Madison 9, the noose in Coffee County, the noose in Thomas County. Oh, this thing is getting big now. What is it that we had a meeting July the 17th over in Quitman? Secretary of State sent an investigator down. He didn't do nothing about that, but he can file charges against 12 outstanding people in our community as if they were the old 1857 Dred Scott decision, which said that no black man had any rights that a white man had to respect. Now, don't take that. I didn't create. Don't get mad with me. I didn't write that. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I just regurgitated that because sometimes we have to give you that so you can eat something. Come on, my brother. Yes, sir.
Now, you say you're going to close this out?
No, I was talking about that segment. Okay. We got plenty of time.
All right. Now, listen. In that structure that you just got through going through, do you feel that the power brokers of the structure need to be removed, just changed out, or need to readjust themselves, or something?
I doubt very seriously they could be any readjusting. We're going to have to move them out. And we do that by what some people in South Georgia are trying to suppress through intimidation, through controlling, through mock trials as far as of the root cause is that the black man and woman are becoming more intelligent. We must realize something. The black man and woman is different from any other person that ever came to the Western Hemisphere, to North America. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, let me finish.
Okay.
We came here. We are the only people that it was against the law to teach them how to read, to teach them how to educate their children. We are the only people that was stripped of our name, our God, our country, our religion, our family connection. We cannot even speak our mother tongue of our African ancestry. We came to these shores on the level of a wicked elephant as a ill fox. That's how we came. We came shackled in chains. We came not being able to maintain a family structure, not to even have our own children. We would give birth to our children, but then somebody would come and take that strong man or that strong woman and send them to another plantation for economic reason, back to what you were saying. And so that's where we are, brother, today. And so we need a hip replacement, not down here, but up here.
I have to stop right there, dog. Because, see, you getting even too heavy for me. And
that's because I'm pregnant, brother. I've been pregnant for 61 years. I've been trying to give birth. That's what I'm doing now. So all I can do is try to speak these words from my mouth because I want to see a baby born. I want to see a baby like baby Jesus born in Bethlehem. Let me finish, brother. In the days of Herod the king. Because I know when Jesus comes, the real Jesus, you know what's going to happen? Somebody going to erect the cross. And whether somebody get on that cross or not, the cross going to be productive because when people look at it, they going to say, that's my God, because it's a real God, not a fictitious God. And many of us have been seduced by the spell of the Leviathan to look at a cross that don't even exist.
So now, what if this, forgive me, is economic, baby?
if it is indeed an economic baby. That economic baby will give birth to the final resurrection of the black man. This economic baby, if produced, will help us to research. It's already being researched, but it will give us the power to take that information, instill it in our children, so we won't mind getting back on the slave ship called Jesus, and rather coming here, going back home, and reconnect to the tribe from where we came, and use some of those resources that still remain. And the European took most of them, but we could take enough of that to connect with international trade here in America to rebuild the slums in America. And that day, I believe, going to happen, brother. But first, we must get rid of the duplication of the true religion of our ancestors who wrote it on stone in Egypt. Because we had, our ancestors had, the greatest concept of a deity that the world has ever known, even in economics. We had electricity, the Ankh, which is a symbol of the cross that they took from the Ankh, but the cross came from the Ankh, but the Ankh is the original, and the Ankh was nothing more than circuitry which gave electricity and gave man the concept of what we have in our home today, all because of the Ankh. Then they went into Africa and called it the darkened continent. They didn't call it the darkened continent. When Alexander Noah went down there and studied at the feet of our ancestors, they didn't go down there and call it the dark continent. They only called it the dark continent after they stripped it of its knowledge, its ancient history, and its meaning. And then they re-emphasized and restructured and called it their own. Then after they got everything they wanted, then they called it the dark continent.
Well,
they thought they got everything, but there was some more that they didn't know about.
So you saying that when you use all these resources, that this economic baby will give birth to high rises?
It'll give birth to high rises and low roses, whatever you want to call it. It'll take you from the highest height to the deepest depths. Because you see, in Egypt, this is not me saying this, brother. They had inside toilets. I ain't creating this stuff, man. They didn't want us to know about it, but they made a mistake. They stayed too long for supper. Go ahead, my brother.
Now, you know, you speaking on what really drives it all, okay? And it's from a high profile level. And now, based upon, that was deep right there, what you just got through going through with. My next question to you would be, do you feel that it's going to always stay contained within this bubble that it's in now, or that this bubble going to be burst and everyone, the poor black man, the poor white man, all going to get the opportunity to thrive one day?
Brother, as hard as it is for me to admit this, it will be even harder for the traditional Christians to accept what I'm about to say. I'm not a smart man. In truth, I'm ignorant and I'm unlearned. And I say that with understanding, because the more I learn, I find out the more I need to learn. So in that regard, I'm ignorant. And the word ignorant only means the lack of knowledge in a certain area. But when you look down the annals of history, it says that every race of people, God have allowed one way or the other for them to reign, to see how they will carry this ball into the end zone. In the book of Jeremiah, I believe it is, the Bible talk about Ethiopia going into desolation. Oh, it's recorded, whether you want to accept it or not. It pains me sometimes. And so God give each of us, the black man was reigned in the days of the pyramids. And as you know, white people are called the Caucasians because they were restricted to the Caucasus Mountains. But when they came out of the Caucasus Mountains, my studies tell me what y'all say don't read. But what you tell me not to read, that's what I read. The lost books of the Bible says, whether you believe it or not, don't matter with me, that the European or the Caucasian man would reign for 6,000 years. And I used to hear my grandparents and great-grandparents say, fight for your rights, but what God has ordained must be fulfilled. Now, tracing that time frame back from what I've studied to the modern era, the white man's reign was up in the year of 2000. That means, going back to answer your question now, my brother, yes, I believe the next level is when we begin to look at each other, not by skin color, but the worth of God's creation. And when you look at God's creation, I cannot exalt the black man above the white man, or the human race among the worm race, the cow race, or whatever it is, or the vegetation, for we are all precious in God's sight. Look at a flea. Why, you were just telling me a few minutes ago about the honeybee and the wasp, both from the bee family. One produced honey, the other produced babies, and perhaps other things that we don't even understand. A honeybee works just as hard as a wasp, and a wasp works just as hard as a honeybee, because whatever's in both of them is being, because God put the bee in them.
I hear you. All right, I'm gonna ask you this. How, knowing yourself, do it feel to be George Boston Rhymes?
I will say it again. Years ago, I used to feel it with my fingers. But because of somebody that I met a few years ago, so you can't feel with your heart. But as long as the heart keep pumping blood, which that's its job to do, like the honeybee, the wasp, or whatever, the only way I can feel the way it feels to be George Boston Rhymes is in my brain. So when I meet somebody who can come and tell me, and I meet a lot of people, tell me, say, Brother Rhymes, you have enlightened me. George, you have given me courage to stand up. When I met the group of people at City Hall one day, this group of people, I think were 19, that come and told me, say, George, you gave us the power to fight City Hall just by your video that you called the word on the street. Well, that's the way.
All right.
That's the only way I can feel George Boston Rhymes, because if I just talk, and if I don't see no results of my talking and speaking, and going out putting hands on, then brother, I like not feeling at all.
Well, that's gonna be about the end of my questions.
Good.
And I'd like to say something.
No, that's the end of your question.
Yeah.
Well, you come here a minute. Come here. Let's get together here. Since I think you heard what he said. He said that's the end of his question.
Yeah.
So come on over here, brother. I want you to stand right here now. This is the man I'm talking. This is the guy that just talked to me now. Now, he asked me all those questions. Now, as we close this out, I want to ask him one question, and I'm going behind the camera to ask him this question. I want to, if you got something to say, you say it while I get my question together.
All right. This is the unique George Boston Rhymes that you just got through listening to. Fascinating person. And I hope that you take the time and analyze what he was saying. But I don't think it can be brought to you no plainer than he brought it to you. And that was George Boston Rhymes. That's all I can tell you.
Now here's my question to you. What you gonna do when there ain't nothing else to do?
Well, try to get some money on the south side.
Of the railroad track of certain economic, it's beginning to rain. Let's go. Look here, this is the Ghetto Free Press. It's raining and we gotta go. Bye-bye, we're gone.